Thank you for joining the Soul Sisters Cafe.
Hey, Tracey Gritz here. And Jordan, what have you got for us today?
What I have today is a little something about laying in bed at night, trying to go to sleep with your mind racing on something. And the reason I have this is because that happened to me last night. And I thought, I know that you've had this before. You're a parent, so I know you've laid awake thinking about your kids. You've laid awake thinking about your husband and life. And I was laying awake thinking about Facebook. I'm working on advertising and growing a platform and, helping David and whatnot. And
certainly not world peace. Right?
No, it wasn't world peace. It wasn't world peace, but that's what it was. And I thought, it's been a path, to learn. Why can't I fall asleep, or can I let these things go, and that kind of thing.
Hold on. I have to interject. I don't have to. I would choose to. I would like to. May I? So when Jordan texted me this topic, I was like, oh, I so want to listen to that podcast. I want those answers.
Right?
Yeah, I think this is a significant topic.
So tell me about your experience of laying awake. And
mostly it is not when I'm going to sleep. It's unless I'm worried. Mm-hmm. Worry will, it depends on what it is. You add my kids into the mix and I have a worry about something, then it's hard to fall asleep. Or I'm pissed. Right. So worry and anger.
Pissed.
I'm pissed about something.
Okay, so let's stick with one. Worry.
Okay,
Worry. Because I think it's a great one. That is one of the major things. What do you do? You're worried about something. Like you're worried. Yeah. You're worried about your second son, your youngest son, out of the country, and
worried. There's right. So
a million things. Just pick one.
Pick it.
Right.
Pick it.
So you're worried about a loved one.
Worry so much less. Worry is so how much I worry is so much less. Not that there's not opportunities, but there's different choices now. So I will say one of the things that I do is come into the present moment and do gratitude.
See, that's two things. She said that like it was one step, but one is come into the present and two is gratitude. So let's talk about coming into the present. We're really deconstructing this. How do you come into the present? I have my ways.
Do you tap?
No, but that's a good idea.
I'm like, maybe she taps. I know I can't.
I have tapped in my life, but
present moment. How do
you do it?
Yeah, we've used this analogy of I'm waterboarding myself. Like my head is under the water because I'm imagining all these horrible things. So my head is under the water. I'm in my movie imagining all these things that I'm worried about. And then I go, I come up from air. This is the way I imagine it. I come up. Oh, okay, right. I'm laying in my bed. I'm here in this moment. So that's step one.
Okay.
Go ahead. Say it.
So I have my way. So do you have other ways of coming into the present? Or were you going to move on now that you've come into the present? Now you go to step two.
Yeah, pretty much that's how I do it. How do you do it? I didn't know there were other ways.
I have some other ways. So first of all, I think there's a great quote from Eckhart Tolle, which is worry pretends to be necessary. And it feels like we're doing something when we're worrying. I'm laying in bed, and if I'm up for 2 hours going, I'm really clear. And so I can remind myself, I'm really clear that this is not helping anything. And usually it's like the same scenario 200 times over 2 hours, and it's doing nothing. It's not changing anything. It's not taking an action. It's not tapping into my wisdom. It's destroying sleep, which a rested, rejuvenated person makes better choices. So it's not helping me to make better choices the next day. So one, I'll remind myself, I'm worrying. I'll realize, I'll become aware I'm worrying. Okay. And my belief about that is that's never helpful, ever. Strategizing, thinking about the options, making a plan. Yes, that's helpful, but same thought worm 200 times, not helpful. Breathing. If I just, first of all, becoming aware, that's always helpful and I think that's that moment where it's pulling out of, being under the water. Breathing, because you can only breathe in the present moment. You can only breathe in now. So if I'm paying attention to my breathing, all of a sudden I've come back to my body. And so I liked what you said, like I'm laying in my bed, I think you said, or here I am.
I'll be like, okay, I'm here in my bed, whatever it is.
Yeah, so it's
we're talking about sleep, so.
You describe right now. So it'll just be, what do I feel? The bedspread, but breathing, I'll do long breathing. I'll do a pause. I'll lengthen my breathing and deepen my breathing. I'll do a pause at the top, and then I'll exhale and do a pause at the bottom. Or I might do square breathing, which is breathing in for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4, inhale for 4. I'll do that, which brings me into the present moment. All of a sudden, I'm focused on my breath. I'm focused on what truly is happening in the moment. That helps bring me back into the moment. And I remind myself where I'm at. And I also remind myself, it's time to sleep now. This is not the time to solve Facebook. This is not the time to solve Alzheimer's. This is the time for me to rest and to sleep. This is the time that it is now. And sometimes I'll say to myself, you can pick that up tomorrow. We're not ignoring it. We're not going to shun it to the side, but you can pick this up later. You can pick this up tomorrow. It's important to get some sleep.
I like that last part. I do really like that last part. I like it because you're listening to yourself. You are honoring yourself. I have this stuff that's going on in my head. It's like a thought worm, thought worm. So it would just be like the loving piece. I'm not pushing this away, but you're really being very loving with yourself when you say we can pick this up tomorrow. You're honoring what's really the turmoil that's going on, or the worry, or the thoughts, or the whatever it is. You're honoring that and saying we're going to come back to it. It's okay.
Yeah. And then it occurs to me that also displaces and that raises my vibration so that I don't reach for beating myself up. Oh my God, 2 o'clock for 2 hours. You've been doing this for 2 hours. Oh my God, you're not going to, And then I start like, come on. You are not solving anything, the beat down about not being able to sleep well. And that's the last thing you need to do is if you're not sleeping well, now you've worried about something that causes you not to sleep well, or your mind is racing. And now you're going to start beating yourself up about it and telling yourself how you're really, how this is not good. And
or another one is you're going to be a mess tomorrow. How are you going to even function? Your thought, if you have a client, and then how are you going to be present with them? And I'm like, oh, wow, check all those thoughts. Look at that fear is just running amok right there. What I go to for that is that I've lived through 2 babies, waking up in the middle of the night, and somehow I actually functioned the next day when you have broken sleep. And I know this is an adult, but those were the most profound experiences of sleep deprivation.
Right. Yes.
So I know I'm going to live through it, and I know I'm going to function.
Right. So what occurs to me is that you tell yourself the truth. So whatever that truth is, remind yourself of what's the truth. I can live through this. I can live through sleep deprivation. Thursday will go on. Sunday will go on. I'm reminding myself of the truth. Worry isn't helpful.
I love that.
Beating myself up isn't helpful. These are in my experience what is true. And rather than, oh my God, I can't believe he said that. I can't believe he said that. I can't believe he said that. Oh, so what am I going to do with my mom? What am I going to do with my mom? What am I going to do with my mom? And reminding myself, thinking this 100 times is not going to be helpful. And this is not the time to solve that when I'm going to bed. This is the time for rest. More like truth, connecting myself to my wisdom, my truth as well, which that's what you were doing. Because all of those thoughts about what could happen to your son in a foreign country, we don't know if they're true or not. We have no idea. But what is true is you can survive sleep deprivation.
Yes.
And you've done it. And what is true is you're in a bed right now. And the truth is you don't have any idea what's going on with your son or what the future holds. That's another thing is I'll remind myself, I don't know what the future holds because I'll be going on about my mom and her disease and where it goes. And I remind myself, I don't know how this turns out. I don't know. Which is so much better because the movie says like, it's going to look like this. It's going to look awful. It could look this way and it could look this way and it could look that way. And they're all really bad. And to remind myself of the truth of, I don't know. And these are all things we can do while we're awake and worrying. I mean, not even before bed.
Yes.
But but those moments where I'm trying to do this critical thing, which is to get rest and rejuvenation.
Yes.
But my mind is so quiet at night. It's so quiet. There's no TV.
Yeah.
There's no social media. There's no
book.
Tasks. No book. And it's just going like, I got the stage. I'm going to show you what you should worry about.
Let's think of Facebook. So
yeah.
So I want to hear, can you say more about, like, was Facebook a worry thing? Was it excited thing?
No. Okay, good. Yes. Great question, co-host. What it was, and this is a naughty thing that I do when I'm going, which is not effective for me to go to sleep. I'll be working on something and then I'll go to bed. Somewhere in my life along the road, I got into my mind that I think it's the people who say, like, ask a question right as you're falling asleep and let your subconscious mind give you a dream about it or give you the answers or help you wake up with the answer, and to use the power of the subconscious mind in that way. And so what I would do...
I've heard that.
Okay.
I've heard
that. Right? So I'll go to bed and I'll think, oh, now's the time. I'm going to let it solve this Facebook conundrum or this thing or something in my business or whatever it is. And I'll go, okay. So I'm just going to use this prime pre-bed time to work on and solve this. But what it does is it just keeps my mind engaged. And then I'll just keep thinking about it and I'll keep, what if I tried version A? What if I tried version B? What if I tried version C? That is such an active mind. That is not a sleep-oriented mindset. That is not a sleep-oriented thing to do. So what I'll do is when I'm in a habit of doing that night after night, I'll just observe myself going, here I am doing that thing. I'm doing that thing where I'm engaging my mind right before bedtime. And I'm like, I'm doing that thing that doesn't work where I engage my mind, and I'm doing it again night after night after night. So what I did was I really got serious about sleep and respecting sleep. And there's with my mom, with her Alzheimer's and so many things, I've read so many things about how sleep is so beneficial and cleaning the brain. And I really got respectful about sleep. And one thing that was very helpful is I read fiction, one chapter, and that took my brain somewhere else entirely from whatever I was doing before I went to bed. And it was like a perfect length, and it was a chapter, and it ended, and then so it would disrupt my brain. It would disrupt all that thinking. And it was so helpful. Well, I finished my books. I didn't have any fiction books. So I think that's part of it too. So I was reading Marianne Williamson, Tears to Triumph, that's just too activating. That's like my spiritual, okay, and there's pain and it's here for you. I was just reading about that exact concept last night, and I'm like, must get a fiction book. Last night I was like, oh my gosh, I'm doing that habit that I used to do that's really unhelpful, which is to try and solve something and to feel like I'm so close to the solution. If I just spend a little bit more time on it right now while everything's quiet, maybe I'll have a breakthrough. But at the same time, another part of me going, not helpful.
Yeah. Not
helpful. And then I was up for like 2 hours after I, quote unquote, went to bed.
Can I give you a thought?
Yeah.
Or thought, possibility. So this is the great thing about what works for us, and about just because somebody says something doesn't mean that it is the right thing for us. A great example is put the question in your head and then go to sleep. That has not worked for me. But these are these things that we abnegate our authority.
Give over our authority.
Yeah, we give over our authority to people who, quote unquote, know better than we do. Oh, they have a whole books on that stuff. And I've heard of it and I've tried it and I go, I'm just thinking about it. It's just like, I got a thought worm again in my mind because now and then when I wake up in the morning, it's not solved. So, but then
I'm tired.
And I'm tired, right? And I'm tired. Am I doing it wrong? And it's just like, okay, honey, to myself, that's not your jam.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to do that. So
that proposed solution is not my jam.
Right. So what what I'm hearing are a whole bunch of possibilities to get yourself to sleep, and I'm going to add 2 more. And then we have to figure out what works for us. Hopefully this is like a buffet of what to do when we can't get to sleep, because you've given me some really good ideas. So, mostly I wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning or 1 o'clock in the morning, and then I have a challenging time going back to sleep. It's not actually getting to sleep, it's the waking up part and then getting back to sleep. So one thing is, for me, if I read something spiritual, I totally usually can go to sleep. It does not engage me.
Fascinating.
Like, oh, lovely. Oh, right.
Right.
I am love.
Nice.
It has the opposite effect.
Nice.
Where if I read fiction, I'm like, I want to read the next chapter. Now I'm sucked into it. So I can digest a little bit of so it's just so funny how
custom made. Custom made.
I'm loving that term so much. Oh, other thing that I try is I'm here and then doing gratitude, especially when I'm worrying.
Okay, great.
Especially when I'm worrying. When I experience worry, that's when I'm really bringing out the gratitude, because so I'll be okay, I am so grateful for whatever happened that day. I'm so grateful to be on this path that I am. I'm so grateful for worrying because I know that it's here for me. I know that this moment in time is here for me to grow. So, even grateful for that. Great, anything and everything. I'm so grateful for that. Well, I'm just thinking of a ice cream cake that I made for Larry for his birthday.
Yeah.
So, super grateful for that recipe. I've been making it for years now, and it's so delicious. So whatever it is, it can be super simple. But especially with worry, when you're tanking and it's like, I'm just going to such a terrible space. The gratitude for the things that we are actually real, are true, and tangible, and are factual, other than my worry, which is there's no facts in that.
Right.
Because worry is always future. That I found has definitely helped me when I worry, and then I come to the present, get present. I'm in this present moment. Okay, gratitude, 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 gratitude. And however many things, no matter how little. I'm so grateful for my favorite pen. I don't know. My new foundation.
Awesome. That is a great reminder. I had a friend who would start in the morning. She would start with gratitude, but it's perfect for, I'm going to try this. I haven't really tried this at night in particular, but she would be grateful for her pillow and grateful for her mattress and, for what is right there with you, let alone the ice cream recipe, your son's sense of humor or how much your home, your safety, your shelter.
Right. Totally. I have shelter.
There's so much to be grateful for, and that's a wonderful opportunity to utilize it.
And it does bring us into the present, because those are all actual things in the present. It keeps me in the present.
Yeah. And even if you made the ice cream cake 7 days ago, your appreciation is happening now.
Yes.
Appreciation happens in the present.
Yes. Correct.
Gratitude happens in the present. Mm-hmm. So you're loving it now. You're appreciating it now. You're thanking it now.
My whole emotional experience.
Yes.
Worry is such a heavy emotional experience.
So low.
And I might have to do gratitude for many, many things until I'm like, oh yeah, I even feel better. So that was one thing. But the other thing is let's talk about the Facebook thing, or whatever I would want to, have my subconscious fix.
Work on. Yeah.
Work on, right?
Yeah.
That is another way to lay on the altar and welcome. I just thought of that when you were saying that, ooh, that would be a fine opportunity to say, I have these in your mind, I have these 4 different choices. I'm always talking to myself like that. Okay, honey, I hear your choices are A, B. So I'm feeling heard, because in my lifetime, I have not really listened to myself very much.
Nice.
So I love the feeling of being heard within my own self.
Cool.
Okay, honey, so I hear that here's your Facebook choices. And then there's always another choice of, it might not be Facebook, it might be something else. So I'm going to lay it on the altar, say welcome. I welcome the feedback, the guidance, whatever is going to best serve my highest and greatest good. And thank you so much, universe, source, God, whoever you want to say, for your guidance in this.
Right. Perfect. And I can't say for sure, but I may have even done that because I was actively working with myself.
You were in your toolbox.
I was in my toolbox. That's right. I was in my toolbox last night. And I know that I have actually done that too, because when I start to get overwhelmed on something, and I'm like one can do with Facebook, laying it on the altar is great. It's just giving it over, because there's more wisdom than me here. And it will come, and trust. And then trust and faith comes in to being more faithful and more trusting of that greater intelligence than me. I've even had some great breakthroughs with Facebook and things that I'm doing. And I'm taking a course and whatnot. And I'm so grateful for this teacher, because she makes it easy to learn. And I'm like, that's gold. And so I could have gone to gratitude for what the breakthroughs that I'm having with that, and then move to laying it on the altar, or vice versa, whichever comes first. What comes first, the gratitude or the altar? I don't know, to get to the other side. So,
I'm pretty sure there's a joke in there somewhere.
There's a joke in there. Why did the chicken lay it on the altar?
To find the meaning.
Right. Okay, if we were comedians, we'd be funnier. So
no, because we are funnier already, honey.
Okay.
Just saying.
Okay.
Just because we do all these things doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to get to sleep. No. I mean, eventually we are going to sleep.
And then I was like, I'm supposed to do a podcast in the morning. How am I going to be? Okay, not helpful. But I did say, so I reminded myself of the truth. I was like, this would not be the first time before a podcast where I did not have a good night's sleep. I will be able to get up and talk and converse and communicate, whether I get 8 hours or 2 hours. And then that's just true. There's a coaching tool, which is thinking about what the worst case scenario is, which the worst case scenario is I don't sleep at all. And I get up and I do a podcast and I'm a blubbering idiot. And then what happens next, or so what? Okay, then we don't post that episode. That's like the worst thing that can happen, is that we just don't post that episode. That is not what I did last night, but that's another tool. And to just go, okay, which can raise the vibration instead of being in freak out now or panic, to be in acceptance and relaxing, knowing that I can withstand the worst case scenario.
Mm-hmm. One of the things I love about what your 2 hours is how much awareness there was throughout it. I know in the past, when I would have these things, there was not so much awareness. My head was under the water. I would be thinking, so is it door number 1, door number 2, door number 3, door number 4? And I would go through, right? And I would go through door number 1.
About on repeat, on a loop for about 200 times, right?
Exactly. And
not getting anywhere.
As you just you would notice the loop. Oh, there it is. Oh, okay. This is not helpful. Okay, I'm going to lay it on the altar. Right, you came out of the water. You stopped waterboarding, in a sense. You stopped drowning. Before, I would drown in it. My head was under the water, and I was going time and time and time and time again through whatever my thoughts were.
Right.
What you're doing is you're going, Facebook, la, 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 la. So there's that thought, and I can't do anything about it now. And like you kept coming back in a sense to the present moment. Like, here's the truth.
Right.
You would go maybe under the water is a bad example here because it's trying to figure something out. But still, how many times did you come back to different places on the smorgasbord? It's like you just took the buffet of ways to get to sleep instead of just going through that for 2 hours. You picked a different item off the buffet line to try to taste that one. Does this one help with my sleep?
Right.
Which I think is so much healthier than I know the way I used to do it, which was I'm under the water and it's no fun to be there.
Right.
You constantly brought up a new way to look at it.
Yeah. And so then what I did is I was like, this is going to be my topic for tomorrow's podcast.
See?
I will text Tracey at midnight or 1 o'clock. And
I know I'm like, that's a pretty early text or late night text.
Well, with the subject matter, you could put 2 and 2 together. And then I read my Marianne Williamson book, and then I did some breathing, and at some point I fell asleep. And then worrying about how it affects my day tomorrow, not helpful, so many things, on and on and on and on. So some of the causes of not falling asleep, worry, an engaged mind, keeping my mind engaged. Have we outlined any?
Well, anger is another one.
Oh, anger. So tell me about that one.
Okay, I haven't had that one in a long time, but I know it was common for me. Mm-hmm. That was a common one for me. Oh, I had one. I woke up at 1 o'clock in the morning, my aunt and her husband. So mine is really waking up at 1 o'clock in the morning, 1:30. That's really mine.
Perfect.
And I woke up and I was like, oh, was he uncomfortable in my car?
The things are minds. Oy, the minds.
So we have a convertible. And so we had my aunt and her husband here. And he's in and out of this back seat. All convertibles are 2 doors. There's not 4-door convertibles. So I was like, should I have rented a car? Was he upset?
And this is all, so it's all gone down in the past?
Yeah, it was Sunday. And Sunday morning or whatever, Monday morning at 1 o'clock in the morning, I wake up and I've got this stuff going on. Oh, but should I have it was a beautiful day and I had the top down. Was his hair blowing too much? Did he not like that? It was just crazy. And I was like, oh, there's Tracey wanting to please. Are they going to like me or are they not going to like me? Are they going to judge me or they're not going to judge me? So there's that. And so it can be, we wake up for like a gazillion different reasons. How
long do you think you were thinking, should I have done this? Should I have done that? Was there a problem? How long do you think you were thinking that before you came up out of the water?
Uh-huh. Oh, probably a minute or 2.
Oh, okay.
But
so
it woke me up. It woke me up. What woke me up was that day. So maybe 5-10 minutes on that day with my aunt and, just different things. And was I talking too much? So probably 10 minutes on all the things that maybe they didn't like me for. Or I could have done better. I could have done differently. I could have Those would be things I would wake up with because of that pleaseaholic past that I've had. So that part of me sometimes likes to really try to pull its claws in me again.
Yes. Yeah, right, people? Yeah. The thing that tries to keep its claws in us.
Uh-huh. So it might have been anger years ago, and now it's really not so much anger. So I think we wake up for all sorts of reasons. Or we can't go to sleep for all sorts of reasons, and we replay these thoughts in our head. We had a bad conversation with our boss. An employee, we need to have a conversation with a friend, or they did something and we're not, and we just have these conversations that go on and on and on and on and on. We replay them in our mind.
Right.
It's painful.
Right. It occurs to me that another thing that I'll do if my toolbox is not working is then it's like, okay, so let's say it's some kind of interaction with a relationship, boss, friend, partner, child. And then it's like, okay, so what's going on with me there? So let's say what woke me up was, did we talk about Larry in the car in this episode or the last episode?
Last episode.
Last episode. So Tracey talked about going to a surprise thing with her husband, and they were disagreeing about the directions, how to get there more quickly, the fastest way. And oh gosh, where was my mind going? I just lost my train of thought.
Was it going to like that I might want to try?
So then,
You're welcome.
Thank you. You're welcome. So if nothing in my toolbox is working, and I'm going to just be flipping awake, thinking about this thing, then I might go, okay, so what's going on with Larry? So what I felt then I just go into it. I go into it. So what's there for me? So what was I feeling? What was I thinking about him? What was I thinking? What was I feeling? Why was I feeling that? And then I'll just do my work and go ahead and process it. I could say to myself, this is not the time. Because I'm so respectful of sleep now, so that now anything that wants to really get a hold of me, I'm like, that can wait until tomorrow. I will do that, but that will wait until tomorrow. But if it's not working, if all my tools are not working to get me through that, then I'll just lay there and go through it. I'll go through it. I'll go through the sides, what I was thinking, what's my perspective, raising to love, what's my truth here. I'll do my kind of spiritual work and just surrender to doing it right there, laying in the bed, or get up and do that thing. There was something that I wanted to do. I wanted to write down some things about my mom, and I just kept making the list in my head, and I was not sleeping. So I just got my butt out of bed, put on my little light and my pad of paper and wrote like 4 pages of notes. And then I was tired and I went to bed. That was a different night. Okay. So sometimes I surrender.
Yes.
I surrender to not sleeping.
Another fantastic part on the buffet of I can't sleep to choose from.
Right.
And I know if was it last night or the night before, where I will just wake up, I'll be like, it's 1:30 and there's really nothing on my mind. There's nothing that needs to be fixed. There's nothing going on. And I'll get up and I'll go read, and then I'll go back to sleep. So there's that.
Interesting. That reminds me. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I just think it's hormonal.
She said hormonal. She is of that age. That reminds me of a story I heard from Wayne Dyer, who said that he was waking up consistently at 3 a.m. And he asked the audience, I didn't see the hands, but he said, how many of you are waking up at 3 a.m.? And apparently there was many people in the audience. Maybe it's a spiritual time or something. So he just decided to get up and write his book. And so he got up consistently. And it was kind of like that was the universe's message, is get up and write the book. So there's that too. Maybe there's something to it. And sometimes I'll think that too. Oh, well, maybe today I'm supposed to meditate much longer, or, let's go with it. Maybe there's a reason for this. Maybe there's a reason for me to strategize or think about this thing or write down all these notes about my mom tonight and not wait for tomorrow. Maybe there is, again, surrender, faith as well. So I just want to add a couple other very black and white things as well. I guess all of these are kind of black and white too. Just because they're spiritual tools or mindset tools or doesn't mean that they're black and white, but some physical, tangible things. Mm-hmm. And maybe you have a few, I don't know, but I take magnesium before bed, 500 milligrams. And there's a thing that I used before that was pretty helpful called Yoga Nidra. And I just looked up some on YouTube, and it would be an audio. And so I would, this was probably 2 years ago. I would put in earphones and it would just walk you through a physical relaxation process of every part of your body. And at some point I would fall asleep, and they can be long, 45 to 60 minutes. Every once in a while I would have to go through more than once, but that was something. Also helping to disengage that brain. Those are things, the breathing, magnesium.
I've done paraliminals.
Oh, that's something you listen to. It's very subconscious.
Yeah, there's 2 different things, like they're saying 2 different things. That one's saying something in this ear and one's saying something in this ear. So you really can't really understand it, kind of.
Okay.
But it's like my focus was on one or the other.
Uh-huh.
for a minute.
I've heard about those.
Yeah, and then I would just, I forgot.
So that worked for you?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Cool. And then,
that was usually like when I was going to sleep. When I wake up at 1:30 in the morning, I don't want to get my paraliminal out. And then
right.
I got to go get my phone. Anyway, magnesium, I've never done that.
Magnesium, relaxing. I have done before. I've stopped doing it, but essential oils, lavender with a carrier oil, fractionated coconut oil, breathe it in, and I have a little satchel of some actual dried lavender. You can smell that. So all kinds of, and put it on your feet. So those are other, tangible things that can help as well. I think the overall mindset of this is important for me to get restful sleep helps me too. And to be more, I've been getting into like sleep hygiene, but keep creating a ritual, honoring when I feel tired. Like my mind will say this is too early, and just honoring that, because then if I get overtired, that's often hard. Just self-awareness, knowing myself, knowing that worry doesn't help, all of those things. So I think I'm complete. How about you?
I am. I think we did a whole buffet. I really do feel like we did a buffet of, because I don't know a person that did. Well, I know one person that it doesn't happen to. I do. Our friend has no problem. It's like out. I think it happened once. He woke up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, couldn't get back to sleep. He's like, I finally understand what y'all are talking about. But never happened again.
He is a unicorn among us.
But for the most part, I do think we all, so many of us, are challenged sometimes with, as my mom would call it, the committee, just the thoughts.
Right.
And I do love the opportunities, the different ways to navigate, not when we're not able to fall asleep. I definitely learned new ones today, and I'm gonna put them in my I can't sleep basket.
Your sleep toolbox.
My sleep toolbox, yes.
Awesome.
So outstanding. Did you have a favorite?
Favorite? Gratitude jumped in my mind. Did you?
I really liked how you would you would remind yourself this is not the time. We can talk about that tomorrow. We can do that at another time, but it's time for sleep. Just to remind myself, right. Oh yeah. All right. Because I'm totally worthy of
restful sleep.
Restorative sleep, and having my mind rest and my body rest, and just reminding of myself of that. Not to the point of fear. I know I can take it to fear, which is if you don't sleep, your brain's not going to get rid of the toxins, and you're going to have Alzheimer's. Now I'm into worry. So just backing it up a little bit. Yeah.
It's kind to remind.
Very kind.
Like you would remind a child, now is not the time for outside voice. Now is the time for inside voice or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind.
I think I never thought about that, and I love it.
Cool.
So I'm good. Okay.
We'll see you all on the next podcast.
Bye.